Hey, y'all. Oh my gosh, I am so excited. We are back again for another week with Intentional Living with SonjaW. And I am back again to assist you with starting your week off with a little less chaos. Well, let me tell you a little bit of the chaos that started this week. I told you guys that I have biblical affirmations that I speak over myself every single morning, right? And my affirmations, if you want your own template or anything like that, definitely get on the email list and you'll get a biblical affirmation template. And you'll also get some awesome stuff from me weekly. Just saying. But if you want your own biblical affirmation template, check out the email list. If you're here on Instagram, I got Instagram with me again, y'all. If you're here on Instagram, you can check it out in the links in my bio. And for those of you who are on live right now or catching the replay, you can check it in the links below in the comments. If you're on YouTube and Facebook, if you're listening to it on Tuesday on Spotify, you can check it out in, I guess, the comments. They're below too, right? I don't actually know where the comments are. But anyway, anyway, so I have these biblical affirmations that I read every morning. And again, they're reminders of what God says, who God says I am. They're things that just remind me of the things that God has called me to do, right? And sometimes they're convictors. And you want to know why sometimes they're convictors? It's because I'm not always perfect. And the one that was a convictor for me today was that yeah that God has taught me how to use my time wisely. Did I listen to the teachings this last night? No, I didn't, because I was watching YouTube and TikTok videos instead of going to sleep. So that was, a thing that happened last night. So now I'm a little sleepy. But I think that's the whole key, or I know that's the whole key to intentional living, because intentional living is not perfection, right? It is your constant coming back. It's your constant evaluation of your life. It's your constant and regular review of where you are and where you want to be and walking towards where you want to be. So you're not always going to be perfect. Me, I'm not always going to be perfect, but I'm going to keep showing up. And that's why I'm here at 7 a.m. for the Intentional Living podcast. All right, so let's get into it. Of course, every single week we do the same thing because we are trying to move somewhere, right? We're trying to get closer to where we desire to be. So, number one thing that we do is we look at one good thing. If you're here with me on Instagram, please tell me one good thing that you saw in your life or in your week this week. One of the reasons why we start with one good thing every single week is because it's so important. There's research that shows that when you are in the right frame of mind, when you're in a grateful, a gratitude frame of mind, then you're in a growth mindset. And that growth mindset allows you to actually dream better. It allows you to look at your life in a better way so that you can actually move down the road, so that you can actually be intentional with your life. So I encourage each person who's with me every Monday morning to think of one good thing that happened last week. And I tell you guys a couple of good things that happened for me. So for me, I got to hang out with my parents. That was fun. And just we literally just what we actually, so both my parents are in the healthcare or were in the healthcare industry. And there's this random girl on YouTube. She does like stories as a nurse, like she just does little vignettes as a nurse, and talks about just random things that happened to her in her nursing career. And so I watched those with my parents because I wanted to see if they had these types, if they had these same stories. So it was really, really good. And then I also repotted some plants, and that was really good. Oh, it made me feel so good. You know what? I actually have a little jungle downstairs. So I'll show y'all. I may post about it on Instagram later this week or maybe even today. I'm feeling like posting. I might post it today. So if you're here on YouTube or Spotify or Facebook, I'm SonjaW Coaching on Instagram. I'm SonjaW Coaching everywhere, honestly. But so yeah, so those were my two good things because I can never just have one. Uh, all right. So now let's get into what's on the docket. So again, the whole point to this podcast is to one, give you some cool tidbits on how to live your life intentionally every single week. And if you're on Instagram, you might want to start moving on over to YouTube so you can catch that intentional topic this week. But the whole point is that so you actually do your own weekly review so that you think about one good thing, but then you think about what do you have upcoming or what's on the docket for this week. Okay. So what's on the docket for your week ahead? What do you have planned to do? What's on your calendar? What appointments do you have? Do you have any big meetings that are happening at work that you need to prep for? Do you have any writing to do? Like, what's going on this week for you? And you need to put that down in your calendar, your appointment book, whatever type of thing that you use to keep track of your life. That's what or where you need to put that. So for instance, I have my planner right here that I'm going to be working on my weekly review after I get off of this. And what I'm going to put in there is writing, lots of writing. So I have several projects kind of going all at the same time at work, in my business, in my life, and they all consist of writing. So that's going to be on the docket for me this week. I got to write some stuff and I cannot not write the things. Okay. I'll talk about it. You'll see it soon at some point, but yeah, I got a lot of writing to do. And although I like to write, I like to talk about things and stuff like that and help people grow in their own intentional life. Lots of writing can be daunting. I'm not going to lie. I'm just like, I got a lot to do. But I'm excited about it. And again, that's the whole point to truly living intentionally, right? You have an evaluated life, you have a reviewed life, you have a life where you're taking time to actually care about what's coming up next and plan for it. Because when you plan for it, then you actually have a little bit more room to dream. The topic for this week is why is life so chaotic? And I'm going to talk about some things on that. But I think also it's so chaotic is because we don't plan, because we don't take the time to look ahead. Like your doctor's appointment should not surprise you that it's coming up this week because you looked already, right? That best friend's birthday should not surprise you because I hope it's in your calendar. But half of intentional living is truly just planning ahead and making sure that your life is tied and connected to the things that you say are important. If family is important, you should have some time in your calendar for your family. If sleep is important, and I should know because I definitely did not listen to that one last night. But if sleep is important, then it should be in your calendar. You should have a bedtime. So, anyway, it's super, super, super important that you take the time to really look at your life and look at where you're going. Okay. So, the intentional topic of the week today, that's where we're going next. And that is why is life so chaotic? And you know why it's so chaotic? Because you're building something that you weren't supposed to build. Okay. All right. Now I'm gonna go ahead and shut down Instagram. And then we're gonna get back into this topic. I know I'm sorry ahead of time, but listen, the Lord was coming in hot, and I figured I'm gonna come in hot on y'all too. It's because you're building something that you're not supposed to build. All right, Instagram, we are out. Come join me at YouTube or on, not at on YouTube. All right, there we go. We're gonna share. And we're going to share that later. All right, y'all. So why is your life so chaotic? Because you're building something that you weren't supposed to build. Now, I've talked about this in podcasts behind. Like I've said this a couple of times in different areas. But I wanted to bring this back around because it's been on my mind. I've been kind of reflective on my life because I'm about to turn 40, y'all. That's wild. I'm about to turn 40 in May. I cannot believe it. I'm actually really excited about it, but it's still crazy. Anyway, I've been kind of reflective on my life a lot recently, and I'm sure I'm going to be doing this a whole lot in May. But I was thinking about just different areas in my life that were chaotic at times. And I'm realizing that there are patterns to it, right? I think that chaos typically speaks of lack of clarity and of right focus. Now, like I said, I'm not saying that my life was not full of chaos at some point, because this is why I'm thinking about it, right? But I'm realizing that when my life was chaotic, and there's a difference between chaos and busy, right? When my life was chaotic, I realized that I was not in alignment with where I was supposed to be. I kind of lay out a couple more of those examples in the email that's going out to my email list today. But one of those I was thinking about was, when I was in school. Now, check this out. I don't recommend this, okay? I do not recommend this. But I remember I was in school my last semester of my master's. So I had my master's classes. Now granted, I think I only had like one class or something like that. And then the other class was like a class for your thesis type of thing. So I had my classes. I had my research assistantship. That was the thing that was paying for school. Okay. Okay. Then I had to write, research, do the analysis for my thesis. And I had an internship that was part of me graduating. Oh. And and I was serving in the youth ministry at my church. And they were actually really, really cool. They had like small groups in high schools throughout Baltimore City. So it was really cool. Anyway, that's a whole lot. But at that time, my life wasn't chaos. It was busy. I was also tired at times, but it wasn't chaotic. And I was realizing that I think that's because everything that I was doing in that season was what I was supposed to be doing. Now, there were other seasons in my life where I was doing much less things, right? But it was chaotic. I was stressed. I was pulled every single which way. And I realized that there is a difference. Just because your life is busy doesn't mean that you're not in alignment. But if it's chaotic, if you're feeling stressed, pulled in a million different directions, feeling like you can't get above water, something is out of alignment. I was reminded of this verse in 1 Corinthians 14:33. And it says, "For God is not a God of confusion, but of peace." And before talking about all of that, he was breaking down orderly worship. And I think I feel like I'm gonna break that down a little bit more at some point, not today, because we only got like 10 minutes to talk. But it had me thinking, right? Like even God had an order about what a worship service should look like. And to make sure that people aren't talking over themselves, making sure that things aren't happening and people aren't understanding what's happening, right? And I'm realizing that that's even in your life, right? There shouldn't be things talking over each other, right? There shouldn't be things that you're doing that don't align with your values, don't align with the things that you say that you want or think are important, right? So that verse really hit me, like for real. God is not an author of confusion but of peace. So now I talk about this and I'm sitting there thinking, well, then how in the world did we figure out how to get up out of this chaos, how to get up out of this mess, right? Like we see that we got things talking over each other. We got things walking, just doing all, we're going in a million different directions. We're confused, we're tired, we're feeling unfulfilled, right? But I want to say that there is hope. You don't have to stay here. You don't have to stay where you are. And that's the really cool thing about walking down this intentional living road, this journey. Because when you begin to realize that, yo, this doesn't have to be life. I can live by my values. I can live in an orderly fashion so that my dreams can flourish, so that my dreams can meet reality. So I just encourage you, follow me for a while. Okay. If this is your first time on here, follow me for a while. Let's talk about it. Let's grow. Let's learn how to live our lives intentionally. Okay. So the two questions that I'm going to need you to answer when your life is chaotic and you're trying to figure out how to get up out of that. What am I building right now? That's question number one. Literally break it all the way down, write it all out. Like, what's happening in your life? What are you building? What are you doing right now? All of the things, like, write them all down. Write them all down. Okay. With no what's the word I want? No sugarcoating, no confusion, no things like that. Like, literally just break it down. So I go to the gym. I don't know, writing a book. Are you writing a book? I hope you are. If you're called to write a book, I hope you're writing it. Anyway, ooh, was that for me? I think the Lord just hit me in my chest. Okay. Anyway, maybe that was for both of us, whoever you are. What else? You got work, right? You got this big project at work. You're volunteering at your church. You're doing all these. Oh no. Oh no. Did I die? Did I die? Oh no. Oh gosh. Oh no. Please come back. Jesus. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Oh no, 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 no. Oh, oh, this sucks. I don't know if you guys can hear me. If you're on, can you tell me if you hear me? If you hear me, my camera died. So I am going to probably switch cameras and the quality is gonna suck for a little bit, but hopefully we can get back in there. Actually, I'm just gonna stop the camera. And okay, so you can hear me. All right, guys. So listen, I don't know how I did this, but I left my camera on, so it wasn't charged. Oh, thank you so much. Thank you. So yeah, so I left my camera on, and it wasn't charged. I was hoping that we had 20 minutes, but clearly we do not. But that's fine. We're gonna finish out. And anyway, it works out because if you aren't listening to me on Spotify, now you see what it's like. So anyway, what are you building? Break it down all the way, okay? And then the second question to ask yourself is what we're building in alignment with our life principles and values? That's one of those key things that I'm always talking about, right? That we have 6 key areas in our lives that we are supposed to be cultivating, right? So, what are they in alignment with what you're doing, what you desire to do? Are they in alignment with the goals and the desires that you said that you wanted to hit with your relationship with God, with your relationship with your health, relationship with your mind, your family, your friends, and your finances? Is what you're doing right now in alignment with those goals for those areas, right? If the answer to that question is what we're building in alignment with your principles and values, then is no, then you got a decision to make. Are you going to stop what you're doing or figure out how to delegate or reorganize what you're doing? Or are you going to keep going down the same road? Right? This is where you got to make a decision about what's important truly, right? If you're serious about being intentional, then you're going to be serious about changing whatever it is in your life that's off. Okay. Now, if the answer is yes, it is in alignment, I mm, I would challenge you. I doubt that's the truth. Maybe look again. But hey, if it is the truth, if it really, really is the truth, you are looking at everything and it's in alignment, perhaps there is something that is off, that is not just correct in where you are. And this is where, honestly, you should be doing it with everything, but this is where you should be asking God, where is the thing that's out of alignment? Is there something specific within those things that I'm doing that's just not right? Is it not the right time? Is it not the right circumstance? Is it not the right place or person? Like, what in those things that you are doing is out of alignment? So definitely begin to ask God to speak for clarity and speak to God for clarity. That's what you should be doing. You should seek Him for clarity with this answer and then figure out what's the next step to do. Okay. So I hope that's helpful for folks. I hope that we get it together and we learn just how to deal with the chaos in our lives, right? And realizing that chaos is not what God has for us. So let's get into that dream boost prayer. All right, let's pray. Father, I thank you that you are not the God of confusion. Help us to determine the areas of our lives that are in chaos and that need to be cleaned up. Help us to get clarity on what we're building and make decisions that we need to make to be clear of all of the chaos in our lives. All right, y'all. Man, this was a wild ride. If you're catching me on YouTube, my camera, it died because I forgot to turn it off. But if you're catching this on Spotify, it doesn't even matter for you. You got it all. So anyway, guys, I hope that you have an awesome, awesome week wherever you are.